Hey everybody, it's GombletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another quick draft of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, just hanging out with the bots again until May 7th. They're swapping these quick drafts out. So, without further ado, let's just pack one, pick one, another incredible mythic, Gisa the Hellraiser, an entire army in a can. Every time you commit a crime, you're getting two zombie rogues onto the board tapped, and if your opponent can't kill Gisa, they also have +1/+1 in Menace, so it's 2/3/3s with Menace. This card is really dumb. She even protects herself with Ward, one of the biggest bombs in the entire format, and something you take over every single common and uncommon. We don't even have to look at the rest of that pack. For pick 2 now, since we already want to commit crimes quite badly for Gisa the Hellraiser, we can roll with a blue-black crime kind of deck where Lazov can also get a ton of value over time. I wouldn't really want to lock in to an exact 2-color archetype this early, this often, but the rest of this pack is pretty bad. I think the best card outside of Lazov is like Take Up the Shield for an aggressive white deck, but that's kind of it. I am not super into this pack. These uncommons are quite weak. This rare is really narrow, so we can just take the Lazov here, speculating on moving to blue-black crimes. Pick 3, we have some mediocre crimes we could choose from, like Ariette's Lullaby, destroy a tapped creature, gain 2. Just a little narrow, and then Hell to Pay, which is just a lot of mana. Your opponent plays a 4-mana 4/4, now you have to spend 5 mana to kill that thing. You don't get treasures unless you're killing really low toughness stuff. I think Hell to Pay is just a ton of mana, so it doesn't play as well as it looks. Honestly, to the point where I think I'm fine just taking a crime land. No matter what, this is a tapped black source that commits a crime, so now we can commit a crime just by playing a land to get a counter on Lazov or to trigger Gisa or anything like that, and if we do happen to splash white, it'll be incredibly helpful. So we'll take the Forlorn Flats here, simply because I really don't think any of the other cards in this pack are particularly good. Pick 4, now we actually have some pretty great uncommons. I think all of these are awesome, but the one that would fit the most with our start here is obviously the black uncommon Badlands Revival. Reanimate our best creature from the graveyard and put another permanent from our grave to our hand, so a 2-for-1 piece of graveyard recursion that gives you immediate impact on the board. Pretty big fan of the card, and I think it would be great in Sultai green, blue, black, which could absolutely be the direction we're going. So I'll take Badlands Revival here over the Jagged Barrens. I think that is the closest card. If the Revival weren't in here, I think I would just take another crime land. But after that, Raven can also be good in a deck that is constantly committing crimes. And speaking of committing crimes, we actually have a pretty difficult pick here in pick 5 because this is a perfect dual lands, a blue-black dual land that commits a crime, or we just have excellent removal with Consuming Ashes. I think we have to take the premium removal over the land, but the land would be very helpful as well. Bandit's Hall can be good in this kind of deck as well. If you are consistently committing crimes, this can draw you cards like every other turn, which is pretty great, while also fixing your mana for being a 3-color deck, so not every deck wants this. Most decks, in fact, I would say don't, but specifically a blue-black crime deck with a bit of splashing is a pretty good spot for this, and that's what our deck is probably going to be here. So that's on my radar for sure, but I think Consuming Ashes is the best of these cards. Pick 6 is an easy Hollow Marauder. This is a fantastic card for Golgari Reanimator. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your graveyard, so you want to run a lot of creatures in your deck for this ideally to make it really cheap and really efficient. But at anything like 6 mana or less, it's a pretty good card. A 4/2 flyer, you make your opponent discard a card, and you potentially draw a card if they didn't discard something that's high enough mana value. So really nice way to swing the card advantage into your favor while getting a big evasive threat. Pick 7, Mourner Surprise is pretty awesome, but so is Consuming Ashes. I think if I... It kind of depends where I want to be here. I think Consuming Ashes is better in blue-black Crime Control, and Mourner Surprise is slightly better in green-black Graveyard Recursion. I feel like I'm going to lean more towards Consuming Ashes for blue-black Crime Control, just because Mourner Surprise has a huge drop-off in that deck, right? If we play blue-black at the core, we're going to be running a low enough creature count that Mourner's Surprise can end up being pretty narrow. Whereas if we do end up running green-black where we have a high creature count and we're really into graveyard recursion, Consuming Ashes is still going to be very good. So this is like pretty good in green-black and very good in blue-black, whereas Mourner's Surprise has a much bigger disparity between how good it is, where it's just actually not good in blue-black, but very good in green-black. So Consuming Ashes is just more likely to be good no matter what way this deck ends up going. And pick 8, Deep Muck Desperado can be a fun mill win condition for a really controlling crime deck. So maybe we go crime mill control. Could be funny. I think it's better than Boneyard Desecrator or the other filler creature there. Pick 9. Not in love with Fake Your Own Death. I think Failed Forwarding is a fine cheap crime to cast, cheap crime to commit. Can also take Lively Dirge, though, because we do have one pretty good creature to reanimate with this. We could mill our own Deep Muck Desperado or Lazov, because I think this is going to be the kind of archetype that really wants to get something that's triggering every time you commit a crime onto the board. So either a Lazov or a Desperado, so then you start playing all your interaction and popping off. And this can do that, so it's pretty fun. I'll go for the Dirge over the Forwarding. I also think Forwarding is the kind of card we can hopefully just pick up more often. I'm probably not that interested in the Spring Splasher, but the fact that this commits a crime every single time it attacks is pretty cute. The Harrier Strix is pretty cute, commits a crime when you cast it, and Flying has played pretty well. Pick 12. Skullduggery is a cheap crime, but you need a high creature count for this, because you have to have a creature on your board to cast it. And blue-black tends to not have that high of a creature count. We're at 6 right now, though, and we're only 1 pack in, so we might. We're definitely not a Razzle-Dazzler or Pyromancer's deck. Oh, wow. These are both really nice cards for blue-black crimes. They're both ways to commit a crime. The Take the Fall is just 1 mana, commit a crime, draw a card at worst, which is really nice, since it immediately replaces itself. But at best, you use this as a combat trick to just eat one of your opponent's creatures, and then it's insanely good. The Gigapede is more narrow, because it's a lot of mana, but it is the better card to draw later in the game. You can kill one of your opponent's small cards and get a 6/2 to trade into another one of their cards, and then you play Graveyard Recursion on this, like Badlands Revival, do it all over again, so pretty cool. But I think I'm going to go for the Take the Fall here. Let's go with some blue-black crimes. For pack 2, pick number 1, I think I'm going to take another Consuming Ashes here over the Lazov, because the Lazov is a little more likely to wheel since it requires both colors, and both of these cards would be great for the deck. Final Showdown is interesting for sure. A full-on board wipe would be pretty good in a more controlling deck. The problem with it is that it costs triple white to destroy all creatures, so it's a really hard splash. We need to hit 3 white sources, 6 mana total. But if we get there, if we have 7 mana, 3 which is white, destroy all creatures except our best creature gains indestructible before that. It is insane if you can get to the mana for it, but it's just really, really, really hard to get to that mana. Unless we go like black-white, remove the blue crime aspect of the stack. But with Lazov and the Desperado here, I'm kind of committed. So I'm going to go Consuming Ashes here, hope to get Lazov back. Ooh, pack 2, pick 2. We can take a second Desperado and really go for it. That's pretty fun. If this were a player draft, I'd be pretty convinced I could get the Desperado to wheel, and we could take the Lush Oasis here. I don't know about quick draft, though. Might be a little bold, but Lush Oasis is a very good dual land for this deck because it is hitting an actual splash. Right, and lands that commit crimes are already valuable. I'm going to take the Oasis over the Desperado. I'm going to really hope that that card comes back here, but we'll see. I think there's no way the Desert should come back. Pick 3. Metamorphic Blast is a fine crime if you have enough creatures in your deck. Make one of theirs a 0/1 and draw a couple cards at the same time. Really big swing in value later in the game. Alternatively, there's the Raven. Because we don't have that many creatures, actually, for the whole rabbit part of this. Yeah, 6 creatures. I don't know. I think I still take Blast over Raven, but it might just end up getting cut if we don't find more creatures to run. I think the upside is a lot higher if it does end up being good. This is all quite filler, but it might be fun to go for Spring Splashers to commit crimes every single turn. Pick 5, we're certainly not a Rise of the Varmints deck. We're not going to have enough creatures for that, but I'm perfectly happy to take Unfortunate Accident. It is removal and a 1/1 at instant speed. Take the Fall, also quite good, as I said before, but grab the full-on removal. Pick 6, boom, Murder. 3 mana destroy creatures, wonderful. Festering Gulch, also great. It's a land that commits a crime and it fixes for our green. You know, I think I can afford to take the land over Murder here when we have 3 Consuming Ashes and Unfortunate Accident right now. It's close, but I think I can afford to do this again and take the land over the good non-land for our deck just to really make that mana more consistent. I like Rope Master in more defensive decks, and blue-black is 100% a more defensive deck. So it should be good here. Take the Fall is great here. A Desperate Bloodseeker is also great here. It commits a crime when you play it, and it's a life-linking card to trade off with. Buys you some time. I think these are both awesome cards. So, which one do we take here? I kind of want to be at least like a 10-creature blue-black build to get this Hollow Marauder going, and Bloodseeker gives us the option of self-milling, like if we have a Hollow Marauder in hand. So I'm going to go for the Bloodseeker here over the Take the Fall. But I do think both would be good. Pick 9, we did get Lazov to wheel, so I'm really happy with my choice there to try to get that to wheel back around, because it absolutely did. And the Deep Muck Desperado came back too, and it is really crime time. Oh my god, we can try the triple splasher just because they commit a crime every turn into double Desperado, double Lazov. This is going to be a goofy deck, but I am so fine with that. We got the Take the Fall back around. Let's go. Actually, Fake Your Own Death is starting to look okay here. We really don't have Enter the Battlefield effects, which is what's really good with Fake Your Own Death. Like, we've got, I guess, a Bloodseeker or a Hollow Marauder if we're really lucky. But with Triple Splasher, that's what's making me maybe interested in Fake Your Own Death, because just keeping that on board seems pretty valuable. Okay, so we have 3 Consuming Ashes, an Unfortunate Accident, maybe Skullduggery against a 1 toughness card. So as much as I want this Desert Stew, I really just think Hollow Marauder is such a high impact card that we take it over that removal. If I had just a little bit less removal, I'd probably have to take Desert Stew over Marauder, but I don't think I'm at that point. I think I'm going to take a second Marauder. Pack 3, pick 2. Well, this Lazov is going to wheel, and I don't even know if I want 3 copies since they are legendary and very high toughness, so kind of hard to kill. It's going to be really bad if we have 2 in the same hand. And in a 40-card deck, 3 legends is where that starts getting a little sketchy. Yeah, I don't think I'm taking Lazov here, but honestly, what am I taking? That's the problem. I don't really care about anything else in this pack. So I guess we are still taking Lazov. I don't want to play the Arid Archway basically anytime I'm more than 2 colors, just because it can really come back to bite you that you have a land that only produces colorless. Yeah, I really don't think I'm playing anything here. I mean, we could go super crime aggro with Spring Splashers into Slickshot Vault Busters, but I just don't think that's the best way to try to do this kind of stuff. I'm just going to take a 3rd Lazov. That will potentially probably get cut. Pack 3, pick 3. I do really want some card draw to dig through the deck and try to get to important cards like Gisa, but Servant of the Stinger can literally search our library for Gisa, which is probably slightly more interesting to us than Vault Plunderer, which is also very good. But we're committing crimes consistently enough that this can sacrifice itself and put a Gisa in our hand every game, pretty much. So let's take that Servant. And even when it's not doing that, a 2-mana 1/3 Death Touch is solid in a controlling deck, in a defensive deck. All right, pick 4. We've got a Bloodseeker to commit a crime. We've got a Spring Splasher to commit a crime every turn it attacks. A Phantom Interference for a decent counterspell, or Marauding Sphinx for a pretty large win condition. 3/5 Flying Vigilance, Ward 2. Yeah, this is pretty hard to kill. We're going to be a really creature-heavy crime deck over here. I've passed up on a lot of removal. Can I pass up on another Consuming Ashes for this Lush Oasis? I mean, I feel like I'm creature heavy enough to use Metamorphic Blast and take the falls and Skullduggery as potential removal. And they're all crimes as well. Weirdly enough, I feel like I am the kind of deck that can just take Lush Oasis over a 4th Consuming Ashes. Might be way off on this one, but kind of really like this creature heavy Soul Tie crime build we've got going on here. Now we get it back for more. Excellent with the Hollow Marauders, but also just big stuff like Marauding Sphinx or a Rope Master. Obviously, Gisa. Pick 7, here's a cheap crime. Failed Fording. Slows our opponent down a bit. We'll take it. Pick 8. Don't want a tapped blue source just because it's a crime. If it isn't fixing us at all. I already have 3 crime lands, even if I cut the off-color ones. And we're actually curving out a little bit with Splasher into any of these 5 cards that care about committing a crime every turn, so I actually do want a good amount of untapped lands in the deck where the canyon can be a bit awkward. At the same time, we've got a lot of 2 and 3 mana plays we're casting during our turn, which means it's less likely we get to hold up the counterspell, so it's kind of an awkward card either way. Let's put the interference on the side. Now here's Seize the Secrets for the side. Link Breaker, actually Vault Buster, Splasher and a Vault Buster combo looking funny, but probably not good. Sterling Hound with Graveyard Synergies is funny, but probably not good. Alright, whatever. Quadruple Spring Splasher. Let's splash around with this one. So we have 46 cards right now, and the name of the game is committing a crime every single turn. And with Spring Splashers, we can commit a crime during our turn every time it attacks. So let's go for it with those, for sure. This also lets our creature count stay pretty high at 16. That makes our Graveyard Recursion stuff pretty great. Although I might want to cut a Lazov because of Legendary. The Legendary subtype being a bit of an issue. Yeah, I will cut a Lazov. I still have a Dirge to tutor something out, as long as it costs 4 or less. This can tutor a Lazov or a Desperado, which is fun. Find one of those and reanimate it. Still, I mean, 5 mana for a Desperado or a Lazov is considerably worse. And I have to cut 4 more cards, so yeah, we'll cut a Dirge. We've got some high mana value stuff here. I am definitely interested in an 18 land build, because we also don't have like a Bandit's Hall. We don't have any kind of mana ramp for all this high mana value stuff. Yeah, let's just like full on rely on the Take the Fall Skullduggery cheap interaction, drop the Failed Fording. Metamorphic Blast works as well. That's 2 mana interaction. If we are getting beat down too hard that we can't wait for the draw. So let's cut the Fording. I feel like this probably is just a better deck without going for Spring Splasher nonsense, but it's so funny to me that I'm just going to do it, which means we cut like Bloodseeker and Rope Master here to keep all 4 Spring Splashers in. Again, probably not the right way to build this, but it's just so funny to me. Crime every turn. All of the fish crimes, the hominid crimes, frog crimes. I want to cut one more card still. for an 18th land, although I guess we do have Take the Falls cycling away at only 1 mana. That's 2 non-creature cards that always cycle away and turn into the next card of our deck. So those turn into lands on occasion. But that's it. Other than that, we don't have card draw till 4 mana with Metamorphic Blast. Could be a little sketchy, but I don't know. I'll hope for some good draws off to Take the Falls, I think. I am going to drop this Forlorn Flats for just a straight-up swamp to have more untapped mana. And then 3 green sources seems good for these 2 cards. Could have a 4th, and then we still have 8 black and 8 blue. Sure, we'll go 4 green sources. 8-8 split on the main colors. And call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're on another blue-black crimes build, but this time it's much more proactive about it. We're trying to do some goofy stuff with a playset of Spring Splasher. The idea with this is that we get to attack in with it and commit a crime just by declaring the attack. So that way we can trigger Deep Muck Desperados and Lazovs every single turn. Try to mill them a ton or make Lazov really, really big. And then we've got plenty of like really good win conditions later in the game if our fun little crime combo-y stuff doesn't pan out for us. Maybe we get to just distract them with nonsense long enough to resolve some Hollow Marauders to get way ahead in card advantage and close out the game with some big flyers like those and a Marauding Sphinx. Or, if we're lucky, we can draw into a Gisa and just go absolutely wild. So, plenty of great win conditions here. Some cheap interaction, but mostly trying to just assemble these miniature combos that get our opponent to have to spend some interaction of their own and slow us down to stop us from popping off. And, yeah, it looks like a pretty solid deck, so I'm excited to see how it does. Without further ado, let's hop right into that gameplay. All right, here we are on the draw for game 1. We have excellent mana in our opening hand, and we have double Spring Splasher. So if we can find our cards that care about committing crimes, we will definitely be committing a crime every turn and triggering them. Because even if they, for some reason, spend removal on the first Splasher, the second will remain. Our opponent has started with a Razzle Dazzler, so if they cast 2 spells, that gets a counter on it. And the Brigand is whenever they commit a crime. They give it unblockable, so they can go in and draw a card with it. That's when it damages us, right? Yes, so if I take the fall, I counter their card draw here, which feels worth it. I do need to just draw a card anyway, because I need to draw into a land, so we'll hold up the take the fall instead of playing another Splasher. Although I will attack in here, if they block, I'll turn that into a rabbit and kill it. They don't block. Let's go. I guess if they have the counter unless I pay 2, this will be kind of sad. But there was no opportunity to cast this around that because I have to wait till their turn to stop them from drawing regardless. Alright, there's the second black for Consuming Ashes, and we have the second blue for Marauding Sphinx. This is only 1 blue either way, yep. So let's hold up Consuming Ashes. Poke for 2. If they do have a counterspell in hand now, that wouldn't make a lot of sense, because they could have countered the Take the Fall. I guess they just decided it's not important enough to counter. But either way, if they have a counterspell in hand now, it's still better to wait till their turn to Consuming Ashes because they have all their mana up already. So this way we get them to have to tap out some of their mana during their turn after their untap step instead of before it. Yep, so this is... Well, actually I don't know about this. I was going to say this is better than if we had done it during our turn, but since they did need the 5th mana to get the 2/2 flyer off of it as well, I don't actually know. if it is. I mean, it did make them tap out and do nothing else with the turn. But also they got a 2/2 off of it. Journey to Nowhere. They had real efficient removal for that Marauding Sphinx. It also exiles to play around our Badlands Revival. That's the really brutal part about it. Playing around the Hollow Marauder and Badlands Revival. Exile removal is rough for us. It means we do basically nothing this turn. Could draw 2 and cast another Splasher here. I have 2 cards that really want us to fill the grave, so I think I need to start blocking with Splashers. They block so bad, though, right now. Yeah, I don't love trying to do a big combat trick on them with Metamorphic Blast when they're going to have like 6 mana up in a blue-white deck. I think I'm just going to main phase this for draw 2. And then cast a Splasher. I think Hollow Marauder into Badlands Revival should be enough to get us pretty far ahead in the long game. We can trade some Splashers off here. Oh, wow. That's really bad. That's just completely devastating. Can't even cast a Skullduggery without a creature on my board. Kind of want to Lazov Splasher, hold up Skullduggery. Lazov can't be a copy of anything because there's no creatures in grave, though. But it can be a 5 toughness blocker, even without Skullduggery. Targeting Lazov specifically. I still have to cast Skullduggery to commit a crime, but even if I don't give Lazov +1/+1 with Skullduggery, it'll still be a 2/5 blocker. Oh, that's rough. The Razzle Dazzler, so that they have cast 2 spells and the first one's unblockable. Means all I can do is stop 1 damage with Skullduggery. Desperado when they still have 23 cards left, and we're just getting hit unblockably. Still can't cast Hollow Marauder. There's nothing in the graveyard for Badlands Revival. Yeah, no, we're pretty dead. Well, Journey to Nowhere, the 1 MVP card of the game. If it weren't for that single card, I think the game would have gone far more in our favor. Just having a single creature in our graveyard. We could have actually played the big make them discard a card, draw a card, then they have to trade into that, then there's 2 creatures in our grave, then we can Badlands Revival. We just got by exile removal, and we start things off 0-1, head into game 2. Here we are for game 2 with some excellent mana again. Opponent plots out the Buzzard to play it on turn 3. Play the Splasher. If they have cheap removal, they shoot the Splasher and make a 3/2 flyer now. But this gets them to throw removal at our 2/1 instead of something else. Oh yeah, I'm so fine with that. Poke for 3. Down to 16. No more creatures from our opponent. Well, no more creatures from us either. What on earth did they just plot here? Outlaw Stitcher? Uh-oh. That's a 1/4 and like a 4/4 or a 6/6. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each spell they've cast. So they just go 2 3-drops next turn. It's a 1/4 and a 6/6. All right, well, that's probably going to kill me. Because I need blockers. And Spring Splasher is a horrible blocker. So we just hold up a Consuming Ashes here. Consume the gigantic creature and Surveil 2 to look for more stuff. Oh, they don't even cast the Stitcher. Well, I guess we consume the Buzzard then. They're waiting for more spells to make it bigger. Servant of the Stinger. We take those. That tutors for Gisa. And then even if they kill Gisa, if they don't exile her, we have 2 pieces of graveyard recursion. Oh, that's kind of annoying, but I'll redraw it. Final Showdown. They cast it just to make the zombie bigger? That is really nice for me. I guess they just don't have enough white mana to ever do it for much more anyway. Alright. Well, let's just play Servant of the Stinger, and then I can just trade into the 6/6 and reanimate Servant of the Stinger to get Gisa later. Deals combat damage to a player. If you've committed a crime, you can sack it and search. Okay. Well, I'm going to send it in. Commit a crime if they don't block. They do block. All right, fair enough. And we back for more. Fight Lazov. Whee! Oop. We can commit a crime next turn just by declaring an attack with the Splasher. Ooh. Since we're committing a crime by doing that, let's play Lazov. Get the extra value. Lazov on Lazov? Sure. Because it's funny. My Lazov is a copy of Lazov until end of turn. Goodbye, Servant of the Stinger. I have bigger plans. Not yet, though. I don't want to tap her. I don't want to tap all my mana to cast her without having a crime to commit that exact turn. I want to guarantee zombie value. Railway Brawler. Alright. Well, this is still a game, because this is just as bad as Gisa a lot of the time. Want to send in the Splasher so they can commit a crime. Just exile a land. I should have done that for my opponent's graveyard, but whatever. Skulldugger to keep the Splasher on board. It's fine. I guess the one thing that's less fine about using Skullduggery there is now I'm not committing a crime during our opponent's turn. but if Gisa sticks around another turn, then Splasher will commit a crime there. So Back for More doesn't win any fights here. Oh, it does, because the +1/+1 counters from Railway Brawler, that's right. Right. What creatures I got in grave? Got the Servant and some Splashers. Anything that commits a crime on Enter the Battlefield? Any permanents here? No. Can't commit a crime this turn. That's actually quite bad. I think I just pick up 2 Splashers. Just to commit crimes, honestly. With a Gisa on board and a Lazav on board. Uh-oh, there's a gigantic flyer on board because everything's gigantic when Railway Brawler exists. And we might just die anyway. Ooh, no attacks. Oh, and I've got removal up too. Or just consuming Ash's Railway Brawler when they cast any kind of creature here. Gisa triggers again, then we send in the whole board and kill them. Do I still do this in the end step? Because then if I top deck a crime, I trigger Gisa twice. I don't think so. Instant speed. Makes it a bit of a combat trick here as well. They're already at like dead on board amounts, right? They block 2 3/3s, take 4 of them for 12. So attacking with everything but Gisa is on board lethal. Unless they have some kind of trick. They're taking like 17. Alright, they don't have some kind of trick, so pretty close one in the end, but we are 1-1 now, heading into game 3. Alright, well, we have the dream team this time. We get to use the Spring Splasher as we intended when we drafted the deck. Turn 2 Splasher, turn 3 Lazav. Let's see if we can do the thing. Ooh, that is a 1-drop that can't block. So far so good on attacking with the Splasher every turn. It's a Lackey. Well, I can shut off its power every turn, so that works. Alright, here we go. Here is a 2/5 Lazav. Unless they have Skullduggery exactly. No! It's the literal only card that would have stopped that. It's really disappointing. Tragic. They have nothing worth killing with Unfortunate Accident right now, so while I could use it to commit a crime and beat the Lackey and then kill the Miner, it's like, well, the Miner's just going to come back anyway. Gigapede is the hit off of Wolverines. They will not have enough mana for that, so Wolverine just a 3-mana 3/2 RIP. It tried. Alright, their board state is big and scary enough. I think it's worth cashing in Accidents on Charger right now. To slow them down. No Mercenary, but hey. Can't win them all. Let's buy us some time. With Badlands Revival in hand and nothing else here, I think I am slamming down Gisa without insta-committing a crime. And they're going to do some digging. Get a treasure, draw a card, look for removal. We find a Vial Smasher. We find Hollow Marauder, which is a crime, right? Any number of target opponents. Let's go. What a top deck. I targeted my opponent and committed a crime, and they have scooped it up. We are 2-1 now, even if we didn't get to Spring Splasher Lazov, because it got Skullduggery away. We just got to win off of bomb rares, which is the #1 way to win in this format. So we take those. We're 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are on the play. This hand is close to mono black. It's real slow. I think there's enough issues with this hand to mulligan. Like multiple 6 or 7 drops. Not doing anything till turn 4. Yeah. We'll keep this one. Splasher Desperado combo. How can you not keep that? Get rid of the 6 drop because we're on a 2-lander. Uh-oh. Come on, top deck basic. I want the Desperado Spring Splasher combo. It'll be so sick. No! Well. Well. Want the land bad enough to take the fall here? Dig for it? I think I do. We just gotta cycle and draw land. Hey, got there. I turned their 2-1 into a -2-1. How do you feel about that, opponent? Please tap out. Thank you. Let's do it, Desperado. Mill time. Boom. Oh, wow. We hit 3 non-lands. One of which is the gigantic Marauding Sphinx. They are on green. If they go Swamp Badlands Revival. No. There's the swamp. Here comes the Graveyard Recursion. Nope. Just a Razzly Dazzly. If they cast another spell this turn, it's going to be pretty good for them. 2 mana shouldn't be enough to really kill a 0/4 here. But it could, if I block the 3/4, it could be like Snakeskin Veil. Alright, we play another Spring Splasher. We also take the fall during their turn to get the 6 mil this turn. Yeah, let's go. Might trade into the Razzle Dazzler off this attack, because they don't know that we have a backup Splasher. They could also just bounce off the Vault Buster and stop the damage, but they know they still get crimed every turn if they keep the Splasher around, but they let us keep the Splasher around. Desperado's an outlaw, right? Yeah. Look at that little hat. That's how you know that's an outlaw. Make your own luck. Well, that's a huge card draw spell. Anyways, since we have an outlaw, Take the Fall is completely broken in half. -4, -0, draw a card. Gonna kill anything they attack with. If they do, they don't attack with something. I still think I have to do this to try to get to land 5 for Gisa, because if we Gisa and immediately crime, it's gonna be game ending. So let's try to hit the land for that by drawing another card. We milled an Oko? Didn't hit the land for it. I mean, technically we did. It's a tap land, but wanted an untapped one for Gisa. Do get a Lazov, though, which is a good one to do off of these. Maybe I should have actually chose the Spring Splasher. Trading into Razzle Dazzler is probably better when they're going to have... they're going to have 2 spells to cast next turn, just guaranteed. So this is at least a 2/3. Wait, how did this become plotted again? Oh, the first Maker Unlock plotted a second one. That's a pretty big card draw. They have 8? Oh my god, they only have 8 cards left in their deck? Hold on. Oh, they're over it. I was gonna say, I didn't even notice that. Our opponent definitely did, because they're done with this game. Okay. Alright, I guess the Deep Muck Desperado is real. I mean, it helps when our opponent draws 6 and searches a land out of the deck. But wow. So, I was going to be block there. We kill a 2-1 for free and take 2 damage. They're also down to 9 life, so we're still just going for like damage lethal. Lazov copies any creature from a grave, so we can have Lazov copy the Marauding Sphinx for a lot of damage there. Yeah, we could probably find lethal through a couple blockers, maybe not, but still Gisa with the crime committed was going to be exceptional, so our opponent's over it. We are now 3-1 with at least a 50-50 record off of this deck, but we'll see how far we can take it. Hopefully getting a nice positive win rate from here as we head into game 5. Well, that's 5 blue spells and 2 swamps. That's a mulligan. This isn't way better, but it's better enough to keep. This is like 1 spell and a bunch of 5,000 mana cards. Double Splasher Dream Team's back. All we need to do is find a Lazov. Or a Deep Muck Desperado. Playing against blue-green again. See if we get that Desperado. Ooh. Okay, Servant of the Stinger is nice here too. I'm not going to block with Splashers, so let's threaten a trick here. No! They're fine with trading their commando into a Snakeskin Veil. Well, we are certainly sacking the Stinger if we can. That's going to be another creature engraved towards the Hollow Marauder. And I think we still take Gisa, even though I don't have the second black source here. We could take a Lazov and get it on board right now, but I think Gisa's too big of a deal. Essentially. Let's play around the counter unless we pay 2. Wait, no, I shouldn't do that. If they have the counter unless we pay 2, I think we would rather have this engraved to make the Marauders cheaper anyway. Alright, any land and we are super happy. But specifically at Swamp, and we're in having an incredibly good time. But we didn't hit any land, we just hit a Skullduggery, which is still okay, I guess. Just get the commando out of the way. I think with a Gisa in hand, I'd rather just save it for another instant speed crime. Here's the Wolverine. Let's see if they hit something cheap enough. Probably. I doubt it. They're going to hit like a 7 mana card. Yep, there we go. Make your own luck will be the play. Draw 3. Should have got my Desperado. We'd really get that mill going here. That Quill Charger for next turn has been plotted. Land. There we go. That is Marauding Sphinx at worst. If I Sphinx right now, I get to Surveil when I declare the attack to fill the grave to make the Hollow Marauders cheaper. But if just one of my Splashers dies, I still make the Hollow Marauders cheaper. So the question is, like, if I attack here, am I going to Skullduggery to beat a Wolverine? I could beat both of their creatures with a Skullduggery this turn. But then I don't cast anything post-combat, so I really don't think that's that worth it. Let's just Sphinx to Surveil. Oh yeah, I guess we're already beating their creatures. What am I on about? Alright, there's the black source. And I like the removal too. We do still need the Skullduggery to actually kill the Commando, but not the Wolverine. That one we just straight up beat with Splashers, attack triggers. So yeah, I don't think I would Skullduggery if it's only going to kill the commando. It's not even like killing both of them. I don't know why I was under the impression that they could block with Wolverine as well. Well, I mean, I could just start slamming down a giant group of Marauders, but Isa's a little scarier. Woo! Crime time! Now, even if the splashers die, I still get to start playing Hollow Marauders and a Skullduggery, and I have plenty more crimes to commit. Oh. I am dumb. I guess it doesn't really matter where I give the next -3 to. No matter where I give the next -3, they just block with Quill Charger regardless. Never mind. The Hollow Marauders only cost 3 mana now. Oh my god, that Scorching Shot costs 4. They're down to 9 life, nothing to block our flyer. That's going to kill them in 3 swings. Actually, Hollow Marauder only costs 2 mana now? Oh, boy. These Marauders are really going to close out this game. Let's commit a crime and see what we draw pre-combat. Draw Deep Muck Desperado, no thanks. Let's mill that. The other one only costs 1 mana. Okay. Am I holding up a Skullduggery? It lets me send in the 2/2s on the ground. I think I would rather just play another Hollow Marauder. One mana, 4/2 flyer, your opponent discards a card, and you maybe draw a card. Pretty good deal. Ooh, we do draw the card. We got double Consuming Ashes to get the flying blockers out of the way, and they don't have the flying blockers, so they scoop them up, and we are 4-1 heading into round number 6 with a positive record no matter what. You just cannot stop the endless swarm of Mudkips. All right, here we are for game 6. Our opponent is on the play. We really need a blue source. And even if we hit one, we don't have the Splasher to go with the Desperado and Lazov. We're not committing crimes till turn 4, turn 5. But if we do hit the blue source, we get to go Lazov into Desperado and then start doing crimes pretty consistently. But if we don't hit the blue source, we're doing flat out nothing for quite a long time, though. So I'm going to take the mulligan here. This has the exact same issue, no blue mana. Skullduggery doesn't do anything without a Splasher on board. Take the Fall doesn't really do anything. Mull to 5 it is. Okay, Arena. Arena has decided we don't have 8 blue sources in this deck. We actually have 0. So all of our mulligans are in vain, and I guess we should have kept the 7 non-blue hand. Now, we do have a very, very powerful hand if we draw 100% perfectly from here. If we just go runner, runner, island into land after that, to go Lazov into Gisa. But, yeah. Starting down 2 cards here already. You're already just really behind to where if you don't draw exactly right, you're going to lose pretty quickly. And we have missed a land drop, so looking bad. And they have the lasso even to kill our only card on board. I honestly don't mind that much. I don't have anything in my deck I want to tutor off of that. It's only hitting me for 3 a turn, but it's not like I can play Magic right now, so probably enough. Yep. 5 this turn. Alright, Arena's tired of my nonsense, and we are 4-2, a predestined game there. Really couldn't even have mulliganed any better. All the hands were quite bad. Alright, here we are for game 7. We are 4-2, and the 8 islands have not shown up in the last, like, 35 cards we've seen now, because we saw 3 7-card hands, we had, like, 4 draw steps, and here's another 7-card hand to look at with no islands still. This is insane. It's also a mulligan. There we go. We will keep, this is the exact same hand, but it has blue sources, actually. It's got the, last hand had the Sphinx, the Ashes, and the Marauder, right? It's literally the same hand. I think I have to get rid of Marauder. I think it's really slow in this hand. So we are still going to start down a card here, starting with a mulligan in this round. So not ideal, but we have some very powerful haymakers in the deck that can make up for it. So we'll see how we draw. I mean, any of our cards that trigger off of a crime every turn would be an excellent draw here. Splasher into one of those is a great start. Hey, there we go. Well, that's going to be fun. If they don't kill the Splasher, then that's mill 3 every turn. And then we can hold up Consuming Ashes to play it at instant speed, so we mill 3 during our turn and mill 3 during their turn. It'd be pretty cool. There's the second black source for that Consuming Ashes later. I don't get to commit a crime because they didn't play a creature. It's actually so rude. So even if I play Desperado now, I'm not committing a crime for it, so might as well just main phase to it. Give them less information when we send in the attack. They stuck on 2 mana still? They are stuck on 2 mana still. Well, I guess we're not really committing any crimes. Magic Arena's the one committing crimes lately with our second loss last game and now our opponent's game here. Wizards of the Coast are the true outlaws today. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't look like a game of Magic to me. I don't know how they get back from this, and this wasn't even that good of a curve. They just couldn't play any cards. Couldn't cast any spells. So 7 damage on board, and I have the removal to clear out any blocker they try to play. Yeah. There's the concession. No Magic was played that game. We are 5-2, heading into game number 8. Here we are now for game 8. That is a keep. A little slower than I would prefer, but I don't see how you can justify mulliganing a Lazov plus Gisa hand. So we're not going to do that. We will just wait till turn 3 to play anything, and be fine with it, hopefully. Uh-oh, this could be bad. 1 drop into 2 drop. They are on the play. If they do curve out 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, we could just die for being on the draw with nothing until turn 3, but there we go. We have a tiny bit of breathing room. They didn't play a 3 mana spell. And that might be enough room to stick around here. Well, 4 mana plays Consuming Ashes, which is really good. It's actually really brutal because it's exile. Yeah, no, that's a big problem. Actually, don't even have the second black for the Geese or the Ashes here. I haven't drawn into it. Yeah, there is a 2/3 and a mana for our opponent. Yep. We're still not completely out of this game, but I don't think we have much time left. We're taking 6 damage. Yeah, we're dead in 2 swings. Gotta go for the draw 2 here. We gotta hit the right stuff. I don't think I take the fall to stop a single damage and draw 1 card. There's the black source, but we don't have a way to commit a crime. We can just cast 1 Consuming Ashes on the Burrow Fiend, take 3 damage elsewhere. I guess I do get to cast Consuming Ashes and take the fall, but it's arguably better to hold on to the take the fall so that we can cast Gisa and take the fall in the same turn. Is she an outlaw? She is an outlaw because she's a warlock. So it's probably better to go Gisa plus take the fall next turn. If they have Snakeskin Veil, then none of this matters. They don't have the Snakeskin Veil, though. Unfortunate Accident and Lazov, those are the kind of cards that can survive. So, Gisa blocks one of their creatures, take the fall blocks another, and we take 1 damage here. And we have 2 2/2s to block with next turn. If Gisa is not around from then on, and if she is, we have 2 3/3s to block with next turn. Block that over the Green Blade. Take the fall the Green Blade. All right. Just wanted to block the slightly smaller creature so it was less likely that a combat trick would beat Gisa and have their creature survive, right? Like if they had some way to give this +2/+2, then Gisa would at least still trade, but if they could give Green Blade +2/+2, then it would just eat Gisa. But arguably it was better to try to kill Green Blade there because that could be more damage to me later. I don't think it matters too much, because like if I get a later, if I survive past this turn, I'm going to have a lot of blockers, but we still just lose to Rise of the Varmints, so never mind. Well, a bunch of summoning 6 stuff. If I can get 2 zombies now and during our opponent's turn, then we might be okay. I don't think I can, though, right? I can only commit 1 crime here. I have 7 mana. So I could cast Consuming Ashes for 4, but then I don't do anything for 3. Yeah, I can only commit 1 crime here. But I could cast Lazov and Consuming Ashes and exile a creature from their grave. Yeah. Oh, no, I don't have enough black mana to do that. Uh-oh. No, the lack of a black mana is super devastating. Lack of a 3rd black mana, I should say. So, do we Unfortunate Accident, since that's a crime and another blocker? 7 mana. Yeah, I can't actually cast 2 spells in 1 turn then. So we Unfortunate Accident their biggest creature. We might still have to be on Consuming Ashes, though, because it exiles. If they cast Rise of the Varmints pre-combat, then we can Unfortunate Accident, but if they wait till post-combat, I think I have to Consuming Ashes just because it is exiling one of their cards. Although if they just don't attack at all, then I guess that's fine too. Okay, attack with the Link Breaker. Yeah, because I kind of have to block there, and then it turns into a 2-1. A 2-1 and a 1-1, right? A 1-1 when it dies, and a 2-1 from Rise of the Varmints. Yeah. That's not great. Should I throw a Consuming Ashes at that? I don't think so. Giant Beaver. Alright, that's the unfortunate accident target. Ankle Biter and Rise of the Varmints. They don't cast Rise of the Varmints yet still. Alright, that's a little breathing room. So we're not getting attacked by all the varmints next turn. 6 blockers against 4 attackers. Send in a 3/3 and Consuming Ashes on the block. On the double block. Yes. So they only get 1 more card for a varmint. Nine 2/1s. That's 9 attackers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blockers. That's the next black mana we need to be able to cast Lazov and still hold up Consuming Ashes. Seven, 8, 9 blockers, 11 attackers. Okay, we pass for now. Threatening, but I don't think it's enough. Especially because we can give Lazov lifelink on the block. Oh wait, no, we can't. We exiled their lifelinker. Oh no, they've got plenty more. Never mind. We can still give lifelink on the block. We can gain 3 off of blocking with Lazov. Alright, if they top deck something... No. They did top deck something, and that just means I have to exile Ankle Biter right now. I have to do the math right now to see if I need lifelink here. 9, 10, 11 attackers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blockers. Yes, I need lifelink right now or they can attack it and kill me. So I need to exile one of the lifelinkers. So that they can't just attack with everybody and end my life. If I did not give Lazov lifelink here, they would have exactly enough creatures to send in everything, and I would take 3. Okay, well, I am pretty sure I win if they do this. We take 5, but we gain 3 where it's 6. And then we kill them? Please tell me my math is fine. Yep. 7, that's 21. Boom. Cha-ching. Alright, well, really close game. Luckily, Gisa is broken in half, and she does outcompete the Rise of the Varmints against somebody who has basically their whole library milled there. So that was wild. That was a lot of tokens all over the board, but we get there barely, and we are now 6-2, meaning we get to take this deck all the way to the final battle. Win or lose, this will be the final game of Magic for today, but we're kind of happy whatever happens here. We are leaving with more gems than it costs to enter the events, and at least 850 gems in one pack. But let's see how the final battle wraps up for us. Alright, here we are for the final boss. I've got turn 2 Spring Splasher. I've got perfect mana. Let's just see if we can draw into something to care about committing a crime every turn with. Our opponent's on a couple mulligans here, which is pretty rough. They are going to start with the 5-card hand. Our hand really doesn't apply a lot of pressure right now, so honestly, probably not the worst position ever to have a Mold of 5 here. We're not like a super aggro deck that's going to punish them for being down this early. Although that's a Skullduggery draw. Or that Erranks is good for me because of our Skullduggery. I'm going to cast a Splasher and hold up a Skullduggery here. Ruthless Lawbringer. Probably just as a 3-2, which is pretty fine. Yep. They just want to make sure that they can saddle up the Erranks, but then I just Skullduggery. Kill it. Okay, I could have the mana up for Consuming Ashes. Just have an emergency button at the ready, or I could play the tap land now to get out of the way. I'm going to have the emergency button ready. We can play the tap land next turn. There's no reason to need our 5th mana to be untapped. I don't know if we have any 5-drops in the deck. Oh, we've got Gisa and Marauding Sphinx. So there's 2 cards we could draw into that we would have preferred to have the mana untapped here. Right. Let's probably kill this Baron before they make any tokens and get all this extra value. Consumed. Alright. We just hit more tap lands, which is fine. They're down to 8, and we're at 17. They've got a couple cards. We've got a Back for More. Back for More actually really bad with our current hand, though. I don't really want to back for more a Spring Splasher, so, you know, here we are. Waiting for some kind of beef. Any kind of beef, and we'll be pretty happy. But, I mean, we are kind of outracing them on board, weirdly enough, so... Yeah, they're down to 4. I'm going to hold up Back for More. Rather than playing the tap land here. Not that it's likely to get cast. Well, if they don't play another creature, I could Back for More. Just to attack for 4? Oh my god. Back for More a 2-1 and choose not to fight? Submit 0? Oh no, not like this. Not like this. Oh my god. Alright. Never in my life did I think we were going to just Back for More a 2-1 for the win. But here we are. That was a game of magic. Yeah, I mean, that was a weird, awkward hand. We had 2 2-1s and a dream. The only reason we had any shot there was that our opponent was on a mulligan to 5, so it's pretty lucky stuff from us, but it does give us the full 7-win trophy run here. And I guess Spring Splasher's the MVP. 2 Spring Splashers did all 20 damage that game. Actually, no, they did 18 damage. 2 of our deserts did 2 of that. What a goofy but fitting ending for this deck. With how things played out in the gameplay, I do think that the Spring Splasher stuff is really just more cute than anything. I don't think it's actually a super viable or super powerful way to build your decks, because by the time you are getting to your really powerful crime payoffs like Gisa, your opponent has a big enough stuff on board that they're just going to kill the Splasher when it attacks, so it's only going to get 1 more crime dealt at that point. It is actually somewhat viable and fun with like 3 mana crime cards like Lazov. Like if you could do turn 2 Splasher, turn 3 Lazov, like that is spooky. Turn 2 Splasher, turn 3 Desperado, that's slightly spooky, but I do think these are just so bad at blocking and become so irrelevant later in the game. They're still not a particularly good card, and this deck would probably be a bit better if these 4 cards were just like 2 bounce spells and 2 cheap removal spells, you know, just more cheap ways to commit a crime that you can do at instant speed, that are impactful early or late game. I just think they would be better. They would just be more consistent. Obviously, there's a higher ceiling on the splasher. When you're in a position where you can frequently attack with this and trigger your crime stuff every turn, it can be better than just a one-off crime. But as we saw in our very first loss, these cards are just so bad at blocking, you know, and mattering on the defensive at all. So I want to call Spring Splasher the biggest underperformer, but I don't think I can. In part due to that last game, them doing 18 damage, and in part due to the fact that we did get combo things going off with them. We had them with the Muck Desperados in one game and did a bunch of mill. Honestly, with how the games legitimately played out, I think the biggest underperformer in this deck is actually Deep Muck Desperados. They were scary at times. We did mill an opponent all the way down to like 9 cards at some point, but the thing about mill is it's one of those things where the difference between milling your opponent's entire deck and milling all but one of their cards is massive. If you spend a bunch of mana and time milling your opponent a ton, but they don't lose to drawing from an empty library, if they still just kill you a turn earlier or whatever, it's like all that mill did essentially nothing. Because it's not like you can stack up your other cards to help with your mill win, but you can stack up your other cards for your damage win. So I don't think Desperado was actually that great. It was just a 3-mana 2/4 because the mill was not relevant a single time. This was technically a 3-mana 2/4 in every one of those games because none of those games was decided by mill. So that is the genuine actual underperformer. I do still think it's probably a solid card, an okay card, particularly for the mirror match. It would be really nasty. But I think a better version of this deck, if you want to see a really good version of blue-black crimes, blue-black crime control, just take a look at the last blue-black deck we did. I mean, we obviously had double Gisa, which let's be honest, I mean, that is a huge part of what made that deck so good. But instead of like 4 splashers and 2 Deep Muck Desperados, instead of this kind of stuff, we had some card draw engines. We had like the sack that every time we commit a crime, it gets a counter on it. So if we commit 2 crimes, we draw another card off of it. And we had the draw a card, gain a life, make your opponent lose a life that you get to put back in your hand every time you commit a crime. So you get to keep playing it and drawing more cards as you're committing your crimes. And then we just had more cheap crimes. We had cheap bounce spells, cheap removal spells, stuff like that. So swapping these 6 cards out for more controlling cards like 4 pieces interaction, 2 little card draw engines, I think would be like a really solid, really good build. But this deck was still quite fun, and obviously it still got the trophy. It was still good enough here. In the Platinum queues on day 1 of flipping over, I do want to mention that. I am recording this on May 1st, so Platinum queues are basically Mythic queues right now because everyone who was Mythic dropped to Platinum. No one is in Mythic right now because this is like 6 hours into the new format. So still fierce competition, and it gets a full 7-win run. So we will take it. That is going to be the full 950 gems and 2 packs of Outlaws of Thunder Junction as the prizes. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.